Does it curve left? Yeah. All right. It'd be interesting. Oh, that's half a human brain. In January of 2000, a worker at a sewage treatment plant in Bethlehem discovered part of a human brain inside of a hatch basin. Authorities determined that it had not been there long and that it had not come from a hospital research lab. No DNA match has been found. Ugh.
The "oh that's real nice" meme comes from an episode of the cartoon SpongeBob SquarePants, where Martin, a side character in the show, looks into a toilet bowl only to find a realistic-looking SpongeBob floating inside. The moment itself tied into the overall plot of that episode,
Right.
but the meme that came out of it was meant to contrast someone doing an ordinary task
Yeah,
like
it's not AI, it's a real guy.
going to the toilet or clocking in at work with an unusual or disturbing discovery. And while most of the posts mentioned completely fictional events, a few instances of the meme format referenced real events that actually happened. This particular incident took place at the Bethlehem wastewater treatment plant on January 7, 2000. A worker named Scott Batchman had clocked into his night shift at around 11 p.m. when he noticed a pink, fleshy
what the fuck do you even do in that situation? Like, bro, what? You go to work, you find a human brain?
object while cleaning out a catch basin. He took it out and rinsed it off to get a clearer look. However, nothing could have prepared him for what that object turned out to be. Scott was holding one half of a human brain in his hand. It was a bit difficult to identify, but Scott's past work experience...
He picked it up? Have a good night, Slubbert.
...at a coroner's office allowed him to confirm that it was real and not a prop. He immediately contacted the authorities and handed it over to them. This discovery happened on a Friday night, so a proper analysis didn't happen until Monday. However, according to initial reports, the brain looked like it was fresh and had not been in the sewer system for very long. The situation became worse when it was sent over to a DNA lab for testing, which confirmed that it belonged to a person. Unfortunately, authorities had no matching DNA on record, making it impossible to determine whose brain it was. The treatment plant also...
Yo, why am I low-key getting a bit of a headache? That low-key, I'm getting a bit of a headache, bro. Just think, also
received waste from 13 different municipalities, so they couldn't link it to a nearby missing person report either. The question now was, how did a piece of human brain end up in the sewer system in the first place? One possible explanation the authorities considered was that it came from a medical cadaver, suggesting that a medical student might have flushed it down the drain either on purpose or somehow by accident.
How do you flush a human brain? Wait, no. How do you flush a human brain by accident, bro? How does that happen? That's one of those, bro, you can't do that by mistake. That isn't an accident that just happens.
The lack of any major decomposition pointed to a much darker possibility. The brain likely came from the victim of a homicide, with the killer attempting to destroy evidence by dismembering the body and flushing the pieces down the toilet one by one. And unfortunately, it seems their plan worked as intended. The investigators were never able to link the discovery to any reported crimes, leaving the case an unsolved mystery to this day.
Your Honor, it was Josh. To this day, it's unsolved. You serve yourself a glass of milk, you live in Mexico in
The
June of
traumatized
1986.
Mr. Incredible meme depicts a normal-looking Mr. Incredible next to a haunting, uncanny version of him. The template uses a before and after format to highlight how hidden context changes a person's perspective, where people who don't know see a surface-level image or phrase and remain blissfully ignorant, represented by a
50%
smile.
of murders go unsolved? I don't think it's 50%. I thought it was, I think it's less. It's like, isn't it like 20? Which is still kind of high. So like 1 in 5 murders would just go unsolved. I'm pretty sure it's not 50.
Mr. Incredible.
No. My search is about to be cooked. It's about to go from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5 Good Boy to how many No. What percentage of murders go unsolved? Let me check the UK. No, it's an AI overview. It's an AI overview. Fuck you, AI. I'm not reading that. Oh, can you give me the number? We don't provide statistics. Why? There's a percentage of crimes. I guess they don't do murders. Well, the AI overview says roughly a third, around 30%, go unsolved in the UK. Oof. Oof. What about in the US? 50? No. No way. 50? 50? No, you guys are ass. Wait, so if you get murdered in the UK, it's dead ass heads or tails, and if your shit gets solved.
I just followed you. I literally just followed you.
It's a coin bro, no way. Thank you for the follow, Maya the Goofy Goober. Maya, you unfollowed? Is it a new account? Yeah, the US is bigger, but that makes it easier to get away with murder? No. I still feel like 50 is so high. Thank you for the 10 bits, Drippy.
Only one way to truly find out anyone want to murder me in the name of science.
Murder Drippy and then put a channel point prediction. Does his murder get solved? Yes or no? Nah, we would never do that. That's crazy. 50% is insane. 50% is insane. Depends on the region of the country. Then it also depends if there's different types of crime, because there's a lot of like street violence.
In contrast, people who know understand the dark, tragic, or disturbing reality behind the subject, represented by his hollow-eyed, traumatized face. This specific version of the meme refers to a silent tragedy that occurred in many parts of Mexico in the late 1980s. And the cause for it originated over 7,000 miles, or more than 11,000 kilometers away in Ukraine. On April 26, 1986, the Chernobyl nuclear plant suffered the worst nuclear disaster in history. During a botched safety test, a massive power surge caused Reactor 4 to explode, releasing a plume of radioactive fallout that drifted across Europe. The immediate blast killed 2 workers, while dozens more lost their lives to acute radiation sickness shortly after trying to contain the fallout. However, by the time they were able to enclose the malfunctioning reactor, it had already spread massive clouds of toxic, radioactive particles across Europe and Asia. Mexico, in theory, should have been far enough from the disaster site to stay
how this affects the Mexican milk?
Unaffected. In reality, government corruption and greed turned it into a problem that ordinary Mexicans were forced to live with in their day-to-day lives. You see, radioactive particles from the Chernobyl meltdown contaminated crops and livestock across Europe and Asia, making a significant portion of their food unsafe for consumption. Ireland was among the more heavily affected countries, with thousands of tons of milk in the region becoming radioactive. The Irish government tried to get rid of this contaminated milk by selling it to poorer countries, and after
Now, Josh, why would you go and do a thing like that? Why, bro, come on, man. Why would you go and do a thing like that, bro? How could you? Yes, you. Mind you, this happened like the fucking 1980s before Josh was even born. Come on, man. My bad. Chai said my bad. It's all good.
Getting rejected by Brazil, they reached an agreement with the Mexican government to sell 40,000 tons of radioactive powdered milk at discounted prices. The toxic milk reached Mexico in June 1987 and was then distributed across the country by a state-owned company called Conasupo. It made its way into ordinary households where consumers had no idea they were drinking what was essentially poison. The truth finally came out when Navy Vice Admiral Manuel Rodriguez Gordillo commissioned a nuclear physicist to test the milk. And as it turned out, the milk the Mexican government bought from Ireland exceeded 10 times the permitted limits of radioactivity.
Let's just break that down. Exceeded 10 times the permitted limit of radioactivity. So there's a limit for radioactivity? Wait, there's a limit for how radioactive food could be. Why is it radioactive at all?
Still alive. MFS are milk drinkers like crazy.
Why is it radioactive at all? Why is there Am I stupid? Is stuff just radioactive and there's like Yeah, I mean, it's only a little bit radioactive, so it's safe to eat. What do you mean, the limit? What? What? Bananas are but don't, aren't bananas like, is it in like trace amounts? Everything is a tiny bit radioactive? Really? I knew bananas were radioactive, but I thought it was like actually trace amounts, like like radioactive under a technicality. If you eat enough bananas, you can die from radiation. I thought, but you'd have to eat like hundreds of thousands of bananas. How many bananas do you need to eat to become radioactive? Yeah, you need to eat 10 million bananas. You need to eat 10 million bananas to die of radioactive. Damn, I've got to stop now. I could do that in a week. Easy work. Yeah. They're slightly radioactive. It's like not even... Anyways.
Government initially tried to suppress the news by accusing the whistleblower of defamation, stripping them of their position, and putting them in prison. But the backlash got bad enough that the government was forced to issue a complete recall by January 1988. Unfortunately, the damage was already done. Over the following decade, the number of children suffering from cancer skyrocketed drastically. Many endured life-altering deformities, while countless others lost their lives because of it. Even those who survived the initial radiation poisoning now face a higher risk of developing cancer later in life.
Bro, this is, and this, Chad, this is all, Chad, you know why they did this? Money. That's it. That's the sole motivation. Let me not, bro, I'm gonna sound like a fucking, what's it called? Resistance leader, rise up against the government. But that's so crazy, bro. That's so crazy. They actually just gave a bunch of kids cancer and lifelong deformities because, well, the milk was pretty cheap actually. So I mean, I guess we're making profit. This is the Irish government and the Mexican government, both of them. Mods, time out the Mexican government and the Irish government, please. Can we time them out? Thank you.
To me, it seems like January always starts the same way.
Don't do a sponsor after talking about kids with cancer, bro. Don't do it. You wouldn't, right? You are literally just reporting on kids dying because of radioactivity and getting cancer. There's no shot he does a sponsor right here, bro.
New resolutions, new projects, and a packed schedule right out the gate. It can feel like this any time of the year, but usually especially so at the start. And if you're anything like me, it seems to always be my health that's the first thing to get pushed aside when I get busy. Checkups get delayed, symptoms get ignored too long. You can find someone to instant ZocDoc with just your insurance. Stop. Thanks to ZocDoc for sponsoring this video.
Whatever, man. Whatever, bro. I feel like he made these memes just to talk about the topics, bro. There's no way. There's no way. This is not a meme. This is not a meme you found scrolling on fucking Reddit, bro. You made this. He's gonna read it. I saw the brain one before, but this one? Are you gonna read it?
The deeply unsettling Mr. Incredible meme illustrates a person's reaction to
Nuclear power is actually very safe and clean as long as the guidelines are followed properly. Was Chernobyl the last major radioactive incident?
Covering something truly horrifying. The template is often paired with a caption highlighting disturbing events or shocking facts, and this particular use of it is no different. It summarizes the horrific sight a Chinese explorer named the Beanbag Adventures uncovered in February 2022. Beanbag's content on Douyin, which is the Chinese version of TikTok, revolved around him exploring abandoned buildings and showcasing any interesting finds. However, one of these adventures spiraled into a nightmare his viewers could have never imagined.
When is server open? Is it midnight? Oh, it is midnight. Fuck, we're running out of credits. I'm gonna have to top up. Hold on. Hold on.
The video started with him entering an abandoned hospital or lab of some kind. It was extremely run down and appeared to have been vacant for over a decade, if not more. Broken furniture,
Chinese version of TikTok isn't TikTok Chinese. Yeah, I
torn
think it
clothes,
is.
and glass jars were everywhere. But what really caught Beanbag's
Oh,
attention
is it Singapore? Oh.
weren't these items. He was more drawn to the overpowering smell that was filling the whole building. Curious, he decided to find its source. He followed the paths where the smell grew stronger and eventually reached a strange, dilapidated room with a pool in the middle of it. He looked inside the pool and
Bro, he's in the fucking back rooms, bro. How? How? The CEO's from Singapore. Senator, I'm Singaporean. The Supreme Court got to you. Oh, I didn't even know.
before showing it to his viewers, claimed that it was filled with movie props. The pool was filled with what looked like the remains of dozens of children floating in a mysterious liquid. He spent barely a minute inside this room before the smell became too unbearable and he had to run out gagging for air. The horrifying sight left most of his viewers in shock, with many also trying to figure out if any of it was real. But for now, many accepted his movie prop explanation and didn't question it further.
Maya the 15. What? Maya the Goofy Uber. Thanks for the 15 sheen washing. I appreciate you, Maya.
Especially since the alternative was far too gruesome for most to even contemplate. A lot of the remains also showed few signs of decomposition, making it easier to buy into the prop theory. However, the possibility of these remains being real became impossible to ignore when Beanbag returned to the same location 10 months later. This time, he decided to explore the rest of the building before going back.
Nah. This is too... What's the word? You found killer clown masks on the floor, bro?
Back to the pool room.
Nah. There's no way. There's no way he found a vat of dead children floating in shit, then returned and came back to find creepy children masks on the floor. No, bro. No.
Unfortunately, the other locations proved to be just as disturbing. I can't show most of this on YouTube, but he discovered rooms full of extremely realistic human skeletons, children's toys and masks, and a few glass jars with what looked like human fetuses stored inside them. Things somehow got even worse when he returned to the pool room and found things that weren't there before, like glass jars and children's clothes on the ground.
And he's going there completely by him. No, bro. I ain't gonna lie. This guy's got to be scripting this shit. There's no way. There's no way, bro. It's fake. It's too like, what's the word? What's the word for when something's like over the top? It's almost fictional. Dramatized? Dramatized? You know what I'm thinking of? Like, this is like a... No, bro. No. Shit is scripted.
Unsettling, a blue tarp partially covering the pool. This showed that someone else had been in that room in the last 10 months. But that wasn't even the worst part. The most disturbing part of Beanbag's second visit came when he pointed his camera at the pool. It not only contained more remains than before, but many of the previous ones were also noticeably more decomposed than last time, disproving his movie prop claim. Though, given what people now know about the situation, it seemed he called them movie props just so he could feign ignorance in case he ever got into trouble. It also helped in keeping the videos from getting removed from the platform. Put simply, Beanbag and now most of his audience suspected that this room was a part of an illegal organization.
No, like my thought process going into these, like the Holocaust happened, shit can get this bad. That's true. That is true. But then I feel like something of this scale would be hard to hide, right? What, just like a secret location that is publicly accessible to people clearly because he's walking in there with his cameras of just dead kids and they were in there with clown masks on, some fucking Squid Games shit. I don't know. Like, really? But then you never know, though.
And harvesting operation known as a corpse factory. You see, China has one of the lowest organ donor rates in the world due to cultural reasons. Yet, despite this limitation, the process of actually getting an organ for a transplant is relatively easy as long as you have the money.
Never mind. I take it all back. I take it back. Yeah, that's crazy. Yo, China, lock in, man. What?
That's because most of these organs are said to come from China's massive black market, where merchants illegally abduct victims to meet the demand. Some reports also claim that the Chinese government is somehow involved in this operation as well, with it allegedly harvesting from minority prisoners that aren't even on death row. Even if the government wasn't involved, Beanbag was putting a target on himself by possibly exposing such a large-scale criminal operation. So acting clueless was his best bet. But even then, his safety wasn't guaranteed. Fans were worried about his well-being. This concern became even more substantial when Beanbag's Douyin account got terminated out of nowhere shortly after posting the second video. Viewers believed that whoever Beanbag exposed was trying to silence him before the story could spread further. Though, just as they were about to lose hope, Beanbag returned to the internet with new videos. However, the 2 videos of him exploring the hospital were now deleted from his account. Beanbag also kept posting more videos exploring other abandoned buildings and never even brought up the hospital again. If someone was trying to silence him, wouldn't it be easier to make him disappear?
Yo, I literally just followed you.
Jay is a bot. Jay's a bot. Thank you for the follow, Jay. Appreciate you.
Or at the very least, keep him off the internet forever? So, what's going on here? Well, the internet has come up with many theories trying to solve this very question, but nearly all of them contain contradictions or details that don't align with the known facts. The most popular of these theories is that the room was used to discard victims after...
I feel like with the population of China... Isn't the Chinese population like 2 billion? Didn't it just reach 2 billion recently? Or is that India? $1.4 billion. Wait. I think I'm just making up facts in my head. Was there not something that hit 2 billion? Oh no. Maybe I'm thinking of China and India combined. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. Maybe that's what I was thinking of. But yeah, with the population that large, if people were to be abducted and you know what I'm saying, going missing, I don't know, bro. Government involvement is a very real theory.
Harvesting their organs. But here's the thing.
Isn't Japan a populated country? No.
If someone was actually running a massive criminal operation, wouldn't it be much safer for them to hide the evidence in mass graves or use industrial incinerators to cremate the remains? Especially if the Chinese government was involved, as many suspect. As for his account getting temporarily banned, that could be explained by Douyin simply taking it down due to the excessive gore his videos showed, which is also why he was allowed to return after deleting those videos. Alternatively,
I literally just followed you.
Tough Sheep, thank you for the follow, Tough Sheep.
Some also believe that this room was the trophy room of sorts for a serial killer, but the sheer number of victims makes that highly unlikely, even if it was a group of multiple killers. Then there's also the possibility that Beanbag faked the whole thing to go viral, or that it was an art project of sorts. And while he wouldn't be the first one to try something like this, the remains in the pool were way too real to be fabrications. Beanbag would also have to spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to commission such a large quantity of props for both videos, all without getting any real return on his investment. So the remains were most likely real. Unfortunately, there's no way for us to determine how they got there. Beanbag stopped uploading in April 2024 and hasn't returned to the internet since. He also never shared the location of the building, so no one else can investigate it either. And as far as I was able to find, the authorities never looked into this, leaving this whole thing unsolved, possibly forever.
Which is crazy, bro. Yo, the world is an evil place. The world is such an evil
I just
place.
followed you.
Yo, Rizzo, thank you for the follow, bro.
I literally just followed you.
Rizzo, thank you for the follow. China is a dictatorship. It's not unknown that the government is corrupt and harms its citizens. The overpopulation could be a factor for this theory. Also that China has so much organ stuff that it's possible it is to get some rid of some of the population and get free organs to hospitals, which is true. Like he was saying, good point. China has one of the lowest organ donor rates in the world because of cultural reasons, but also getting an organ isn't hard. So where are the organs coming from? No country that big wouldn't be corrupt. You guys need to understand, there is no country that is not corrupt, bro. There is no country that is not corrupt. It isn't about the size of the country. The corruption is everywhere, man. Corruption is literally everywhere. But obviously, the bigger country you are, the more money you have, so, or the more powerful you are, so the deeper the corruption can go. The deeper the corruption can can go. Mexico aside, I don't think Ireland is corrupt. I mean, corruption is different things. Obviously, there's harvesting child organs for profit, and then there's things like, you know, if you're a politician and you know someone who knows someone, you can just like, hey man, them taxes, just have those filed, bro. I don't really want to pay those. You know, politicians, they choose their own wages. They can pay themselves what they want. You know what I'm saying? Like, it varies. I can't speak on corruption in Ireland, because it's not something I've researched on. But I would be very surprised to find everyone's very clean. They do things by the book. The best interest is that, not them. And you know what I'm saying? You know, maybe I'm wrong. I would be very surprised, extraordinarily surprised. But yeah, I think corruption in governments is you know, the president makes 100K a year in Ireland. I mean, but it could be, I don't know. I can't think of examples, but things like companies who perhaps wants to cut corners in safety practices. The minister of fucking safety, food safety, could be paid off. Things like that. You know what I'm saying? Corruption isn't always obvious, but I don't know, man. I feel like corruption runs in all governments. I don't think it's here nor there. Jacksepticeye cool though. True. All you did was take a pill, but your boss gave it to you for your UTI. You haven't slept in months. You know you'll die. What will happen to your son? What the fuck?
This meme recounts the tragic life of Ricard Siagan, a 48-year-old tattoo artist from Philadelphia who lost everything he had in a single year. Ricard had two passions in life, his only son and art. He created music, did photography, and eventually settled into a career as a tattoo artist. He also shared videos of his tattoo work on YouTube quite often, likely just to document his
Does anybody in the chat have a tattoo?
Progress. Every second he wasn't working, he spent with his son. He had a seemingly perfect life and was still—
Random question, did you listen to the speech from Canada's Prime Minister Mark Connery where he got a standing O? No, I have not. Is it
striving
painful?
to do better for the only person in his life. Unfortunately, this perfect life was ripped away from Ricard in 2015. This was the year he moved to Philadelphia and started working there as a tattoo artist. However, months into his new employment, he contracted a urinary tract infection, or UTI for short. The pain was so severe that it made it impossible for him to work. But since his insurance didn't cover UTIs, he couldn't afford to go to a doctor.
Insurance, bro. American health insurance, holy shit.
With no other option, Ricard spoke to his boss about his illness, hoping for help or at least some guidance. And as it turned out, his boss had also gone through a UTI recently. His boss still had some of the antibiotics his doctor prescribed, which he happily handed over to Ricard. Ricard was a bit skeptical at first, but a single dose dramatically reduced his pain. So he kept taking the antibiotics and was soon well enough to return to work. But before he could celebrate his recovery, Ricard noticed another major health concern. He was experiencing insomnia, making it difficult for him to sleep each night. Unfortunately, that was only the beginning. The insomnia was getting worse with each passing day. 4 months in, and it became severe enough to prevent him from sleeping altogether.
What?
None of the treatments he tried worked, and he was rapidly running out of options. So
the US government, whenever you ask them to do anything of substance about healthcare, I want to watch Coraline. I remember being terrified of this movie when I was a kid. No idea why. I don't know the plot of it. I might watch it. Low-key. I really want to watch Coraline, bro.
In January 2016, he uploaded a video asking for the internet's help, titled, "Che Fatal Insomnia Neurotoxin Induce, CNS Seeking Neuroscience Hospital Support or Stem Cell Hope," where he went over all the disturbing details of his condition.
My brain also looking forward to sleep, but the activity of the brain is never calmed down. It's been 4 months since my brain is active. It never sleep. It never want to go down.
No.
And when my body asks my brain that I need to rest and sleep, There's no connection, but there is a feedback. There is a really painful feedback, physical feedback, and
What
neuron
the fuck did his boss give him to give you insomnia for 4 months?
feedback.
Ricard explained his condition as fatal familial insomnia, a devastating neurological disorder that essentially locks the brain in a state of permanent wakefulness. It's caused by a genetic mutation that targets the thalamus, the section of the brain responsible for transitioning the mind from consciousness into sleep. What made the already terrible situation even more tragic was that he was also separated from his son. He had to return to Indonesia due to his mother's hospitalization, but the insomnia now left him bedridden, unable to fly back to his son in Philadelphia. Ricard still wanted to do everything in his power to survive for his son, but the constant unbearable pain was also sapping away his will to live.
I need life. I have my sons in Philadelphia now. I left him. I have no
Yo, Sticky, thank you for the gifted sub, bro. I appreciate it.
Sticky61226 has gifted
To
1
some
sub
Russian,
to
W Russian.
viewers.
Yo, Sticky, thank you for the gifted sub, gang. W sub, thank you, bro.
choice, because I don't want to leave him. I need life.
Thank
I
you,
need
bro.
to survive. I don't want him to lose me. I don't want to lose him.
Damn.
From there, Ricard
It's
kept posting
sad,
updates on his
bro.
condition, and even shows what happens anytime he tried to sleep. But here's the thing, Ricard wasn't suffering from fatal familial insomnia, because that disease is genetic. It's not something someone can just contract out of nowhere, and no one in his family had this prior to him. Instead, Ricard's neurological issues were the side effects of ciprofloxacin, the antibiotic Ricard took from his boss for his UTI. Ciprofloxacin falls under a type of drug known as fluoroquinolones, and they are incredibly dangerous. Taking them without proper precaution can cause total neurological degradation.
Damn.
Unfortunately, even after knowing what it was, Ricard couldn't do anything, and his condition was getting worse with each passing day.
Wait,
he was starting.
wait, as in there's nothing he can do? There's fucking of course no. Actually, sir, your insurance doesn't cover it, so you just got to like die or something. I don't know. Like, bro, what? What? Help this man. Help this man, bro.
To get delirious and began posting rants that made little sense.
Conspiracy theory has never been a theory. It's a practice.
Yo, Sticky, thanks for the gift of sub to Fuji, bro. I appreciate it. Sticky, thanks for the gift of subs, bro. I really appreciate it.
Sticky61226 has gifted a sub to Akfuja.
Thank you, Sticky. Hold on, I'm gonna mute alerts for now until we get to the end of this video because it's quite a serious topic. But thank you for the gifted Sticky, genuinely. Thank you for the gifted subs this stream. I appreciate it. And Akfuja, make sure you say thank you. Mute the alert, chat.
world that created by the system.
Without sleep, the cells in his body were also starting to die, leaving him even more immobilized than before. He received some hope from a doctor in Beijing who offered a cutting-edge procedure that had previously worked for one patient. However, the procedure's cost was beyond what Ricard could afford.
Money.
And while he did set up a fundraiser, the donations never reached the required amount. And after struggling with his condition for over a year, Ricard sadly passed away on the 6th of December 2016 in Indonesia.
Bro, rest in peace, man. That's so sad. And it all comes down to money. Money, bro. You got billionaires, more money than they could ever know what to do with. And then you got people who just want to stay alive, bro. And they can't do it because they don't have the money, bro. That's so crazy. Did the boss, I mean, I guess, to be honest, chat, to be honest, as much as I would want to say, like, yo, the boss has some part of responsibility, the boss, his intentions were genuinely good. He didn't give him like a laced pill or anything. He was like, hey, man, the guy came to him like, yo, bro, I've got this UTI. I can't afford the insurance. I'm in pain. Please help. And he's like, I had a UTI. This is what I took. It worked for me. Maybe it can work for you. It wasn't malicious. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, prescribing medicine when you're not a doctor isn't good. It's not a good practice, but it wasn't malicious. The real culprit, the real reason for his death is the fucking healthcare system over there, bro. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. It's the healthcare system, bro. The man was dying, but because of his financial status, he wasn't allowed to live. He didn't have enough money to live. Sad. Super sad.
The traumatized Mr. Incredible in this instance is a reference to the death of Isaiah Fitzgerald, an 18-year-old teen from Missouri who lost everything due to the death of Isaiah. The traumatized Mr. Incredible in this instance is a reference to the death of Isaiah Fitzgerald.
Wait, so it's resend that after the vid. Resend that after the vid.
An 18-year-old teen from Missouri who lost everything due to an internet argument. The incident happened on April 25th, 2023, when a guy named Tanner Watkins uploaded a new profile picture on Facebook with his girlfriend, to which Isaiah reacted with a laughing reaction. The two were friends on Facebook, but it's unclear how close they were. Regardless of their connection, Tanner did not take kindly to Isaiah's reaction and called him out in the post's comments. Their discussion quickly divulged into an argument and ended with the two agreeing to meet each other in person to settle things. The vast majority of internet arguments usually end here, with both sides moving on with their lives. However, both Tanner and Isaiah were serious about this confrontation. After agreeing on the spot and time, they met up at the Rotary Park in Sykeston, and unfortunately neither side was open to a discussion. As soon as they got close to each other, both opened fire from their cars.
Over a Facebook reaction, bro. You know what? I think some people just don't value their lives, bro. Genuinely. You're gonna throw away your whole life over a Facebook reaction. Dude reacted with an emoji you didn't like, so you thought, yeah, let me kill him. What? That being said, I also feel like you might be lower IQ if you have an argument with somebody online. They say, yo, meet here, and you actually go. I think yeah, man, you probably aren't the sharpest tool in the box, you know what I mean? Because why would you do that? Anything could happen. You could agree, yeah, let's meet here, this place, one-on-one, we're gonna fight. You go there, there's 5 armed men. Now what? Why would you go? Why would you willingly go? That's so stupid. Over a Facebook reaction, by the way.
Isaiah was fatally shot seconds after the shootout started and passed away before help could arrive. The 18-year-old girl Isaiah brought with him also received life-threatening injuries. Fortunately, she managed to pull through after multiple surgeries. As for Tanner, he somehow managed to avoid conviction for the death of Isaiah, though he was eventually sentenced to 7 years in prison for an unrelated shooting in 2025.
How did he get away with that? How did he get away with that? How did he get away with that? What?
This meme is about a deadly attack that happened in Chicago in 1982
Self-defense? Yeah, I guess so.
regarding Tylenol pain relief capsules. On the morning
Your Honor, he reacted with the laughing emoji on Facebook. Guilty. He did nothing wrong. Set him free.
of September 29, a 12-year-old girl named Mary Kellerman took a capsule of extra-strength Tylenol to soothe a sore throat, but instead of feeling relief, she collapsed and passed away shortly after. That same day, a 27-year-old postal worker named Adam Janis also took Tylenol for his headache. Seconds later, he suffered what appeared to be a heart attack and tragically passed away. While his family gathered to mourn his death, his brother Stanley and sister-in-law Teresa each took Tylenol from the same bottle Adam had used. Within hours, those two were dead as well. By the time the connection was made, 3 more people, including 27-year-old Mary Reiner, 31-year-old Mary McFarland, and 35-year-old Paula Prince had also lost their lives. Testing revealed that the Tylenol capsules they had consumed were laced with potassium cyanide, one of the deadliest poisons in the world, and
They were laced with cyanide? Hold on, bro. Who is just lacing medical drugs with cyanide, and why is that not being tested? Bro, what? Who just does that? Hey, bro, I'm kind of bored. You trying to, like, lace medical medicine with cyanide? What?
Since the victims were spread across different suburbs, investigators quickly realized this wasn't a manufacturing error. Someone had gone into local grocery stores and pharmacies, pulled bottles off the shelves, laced the capsules with poison, and put them back to be purchased by unsuspecting strangers.
But actually, just why? But actually, why though?
Investigators had no way of knowing how many other poison bottles were still on the shelf. So, in an unprecedented move, the makers of Tylenol, Johnson & Johnson, stepped forward. They issued a nationwide recall of approximately 31 million bottles, a value of over $100 million at the time. Authorities also urged the public not to take any Tylenol product, and for good reason. In the early
why just Tylenol though? Why just Tylenol?
1980s, over-the-counter medicine was sold in simple bottles with easy-to-open caps. There were no plastic neck seals, no foil liners, and no tamper evidence stickers. The realization that a complete stranger could turn a common household item into a weapon of mass murder changed this mindset overnight. In response to the tragedy, the FDA introduced stringent new regulations. Within 6 months, Tylenol returned to shelves in the first ever triple seal packaging. This included a glued outer box, a plastic wrap around the cap, and a foil seal over the mouth of the bottle. However, even this was not a perfect solution. In the months and years following the attack, police stations across the US were flooded with hundreds of copycat reports. And while many of these were hoaxes, some turned out to be legit. Like in 1986, when 23-year-old Diane Ellsroth died after taking a Tylenol capsule laced with cyanide in New York.
Yo, gang, at that point, bro, shut your company down, bro. I'm not taking Tylenol ever again in my life. Never, bro. Why not just arrest the people who did it? I don't think they know who did it. Or else I assume they would have done that. Don't tell me this auto-renewed. Apparently it did. Josh, thank you for the 44 months.
Same year, another medication named
Cameras Act. You're forgetting this is the 1970s, bro. You're forgetting it's like the 1970s.
Excedrin was targeted in Washington state, leading to 2 more deaths.
This is, you know what I'm saying? This was a long time ago, before cameras were really advanced like that.
Attacks forced the pharma industry to evolve this packaging further and make poisoning more difficult. However, while the attack led to an overall positive change, the original 7 victims never received the justice they deserved. Despite a massive investigation, a $100,000 reward for information, and several suspects, no one was ever charged with the actual murders. One of the suspects, named James Lewis, actually contacted Johnson & Johnson, claiming he would stop the killings if they sent him $1 million in ransom. But investigation revealed that he had nothing to do with the actual attack. He was just trying to take advantage of an already tragic situation. The most popular theory is that this attack was carried out by one of Johnson & Johnson's competitors to ruin their reputation, which makes a lot of sense considering Tylenol's market share dropped from 35% to 8% following the incident. That said, it could still have been the work of a deranged serial killer intent on claiming as many lives as possible.
But my thing is this, was it all just in one area? Was it literally just, because obviously if it's one person, right? If it's one person, they can't, there's only so much Tylenol one person can spike or can lace. There's only so much one person can do. Read last, no. There's only one so much that one person can do. Unless it was a nationwide, so the competitor theory makes sense, bro. They probably hide people across. I kind of want to research. Is Ali still here? Ali said she researched it. I'll Google it.
Unfortunately, investigators found no solid clues like fingerprints or CCTV footage that could help us
Have a good night, Shane. Thank you for being here, bro.
confirm or deny these theories.
Crazy.